Hello, 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 hello. Today we're going to look into LO3. LO3. Um, LO3, see the attendance. LO3. Hello. Can we have all students joining? Oh, hello, hello, hello. I I thought you guys were supposed to have lectures today, isn't it? I thought you were supposed to have some lectures today. Lectures. No, are you not supposed to be part of the research team that's lecturing today? Oh, okay, no problem, no problem. So, we today will look at LO3, which presupposes that we'll be looking to lectures relative to data collection and to analyze those relevant issues and topic within the legal framework when it comes to research work. The findings for which we would be recorded in a suitable report format. This is what we call methodology in research work. Learners should critically evaluate data to assess the validity and the reliability, e.g., commenting on sample size, restrictions on access to data, subject to lack of availability in those areas. So these are the things that we expect that in LO3 we'll have to sort of capture the relevant areas in data collection. When having done your literature review and you've had your research proposal accepted, um, the the third part is to present or to present the data that you've found, that the findings of your data through questionnaires or through surveys. You then have to interpret them using data or IT skills. And I have explained in previous lectures that one of the best ways to present this is either using histograms or in others Venn diagram, or sometimes what we call pie chart, right? And so today's lecture will be looking to a bit more methodologies as well. Okay. So LO3, LO3. Sure, and then we take it from there. So LO3, LO3. Now, what we intend to do is to look at the aspect where you're able to complete a research project within the health and social care. Okay. Um, Now, where literature review, I've had those extensive discussions and lectures when it comes to literature review. Where we say literature review is an overview of a previously published work on a topic. Okay, so I explained the other time in I explained the other time in I explained the other time that literature review, that in literature review, as a student, a degree holder, or a master's, to that understanding, what literature review tends to do is to review published articles or project works that just bear with me. And so we have to have you joined, please? Olatoya, have you joined now? Hello? 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 Hello, Joshua. Is that Joshua, please? Hello? Is that Joshua? Is that Joshua? Olatoya.
It's only friendly. It's not, no, it's not, yeah, it's not like a big game or anything.
Olatoya.
Doing their cheese now.
No, we just, the plan is to bring the chicken down here and made it here and
Hello?
just serve them. Or what do you think?
Guys.
Still got to go to do the medication.
Hello?
I don't know
The medication? Oh my God. Hey, it's not a problem. Actually, I will do the medication. I know how to.
Hello, can you mute
I know
yourself,
today she's
please?
been rude and she will be like, I'll just.
Olatoya, can you mute
it.
yourself?
I'll do it when Jenny comes.
I don't even know what you do because I'm chicken. You just mean chicken. I'm sure one of them has the fajita kit. Sure. We're just making chicken mackerel with a bit of salad. So just chicken. Try the chicken. Mayo. Rob wants mayo and beetroot, so just bring his beetroot and mayo down.
Yeah, so you do the education. I will just do the medication. I would, yeah? Yeah.
Olatoya.
Raymond can have some too. Yeah, definitely. Yes.
Hello? 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 Please do.
I think I've seen Rachel's number. I've tried to reach out.
Okay.
It's not going, but I will call again now.
That's fine. Emola, put your full name there, please.
What is it? Halloween witch hat?
Joshua, you need
No
to
way on
mute
the
yourself.
hall this would go. Yeah. No way, like you could do it. So it's like there's lots to do up there. Yeah.
That's for suicide. It wasn't about that she was trying to protect.
Think have some dangling on the door as well. People might want to put. Or people, if they feel like people just put on it.
Demonola, all right. We need to crack on because we don't have much time for today. We need to crack on, okay? We need to crack on. So we have 3 participants. Just click on it. Okay.
All right, sir.
Okay.
I'm still trying to reach out to some
Don't
other.
worry. Don't worry. Let's crack on. Don't worry. You reach out to them and whilst you crack on. All right.
Okay.
So we having our LO3 today, learning outcome 3, and we've had LO1 and we've had our learning outcome 2. What we tend to do today is to have an overview of LO3, but quite interesting. I have had extensive discussion with you guys on some of the things or some of the nuggets that we're going to tackle today. So we won't dive much into it because we've had extensive chat about literature review and other discussions we've had on methodology. And so today's lecture is to sort of bring to understanding your learning skills in terms of data collection methods that we've had spoken about in terms of how to diagnose, troubleshoot problems, and then have a bit of the literature review that we spoke about, your research question, your hypothesis, your terms of reference, which should be the Harvard type of reference, and those references should not be anything more than 5 years. You cannot use AI in your references because you will be cited against plagiarism because your AI references will not be accepted. Okay, so these are things that students or learners need to know. And so they could present a research paper, that one that befits your supervisor's criteria and one that befits the marking scheme of the university. All right. And so we will dive quickly into those. Yes. If you remember, Lola, some of the things I asked you to research about, were you able to do that, please?
Sorry?
I gave you some homework. Were you able to do that, please?
I've been so strong, so I'm just getting better now.
You've been okay, that's fine. That's
Yeah,
fine.
then I was busy with the other assignments which I submitted yesterday, the unit
Or have
4.
you? Or have
Yeah.
you? Congratulations. Congratulations. That's good. That's good. That's good. And so do you remember what the explanation I gave about literature review? Do you remember?
About what, sir?
Literature review in
Mm,
project work.
yeah, it's like true, but I might not be able to say it the way you thought so.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, give it a try. Give it a try. I'm listening, please.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't.
What's your understanding on literature review, please? Hello, I'm not listening. Are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Yeah, so what's your understanding on literature review, please?
Coming, sir.
Somebody just join us, please. Temilola,
Yes, sir.
can I see you, please? Temilola,
Okay. I should show my
Temi.
face.
Yes, please, Temi.
All right. Sorry. I'm here. This is me. You know, when you were talking about the literature review the other time, you was talking about a survey about a particular, having a knowledge, a survey about a particular thing. Maybe you are given to study when maybe there is a particular trend that do occur frequently. I think you use something like a family stuff as an example, and you are asked to really find out what is really occurring, what's the major thing that always cause these occurrences and all that. So you are trying to do a survey to really know more about that particular thing. If I'm right, I don't know. I'm just trying to. I've not really done a revision of what we learned last. I was just busy with my assignments, please. Hello? 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 Can you hear me, Mr. Daniel? Mr. Daniel, can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Daniel, can you hear me? You are muted. You are muted.
Kritika
Yes,
reviews those writings.
you are muted. So I've been
Like,
talking since I didn't hear.
can you hear me now, Demnola? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear now.
Okay, that's fine. And so I repeat myself again since you are not hearing me. Okay,
Yeah,
so I said I did explain to you the essence of literature review, and
yeah,
that plays a critical role in your research work or in presentation of a project work as a degree holder or a master's holder. And what I explained to you previously until now is that in project work, having identify your project topic or your proposal in your project, one of the things you do is to do a critical analysis of a review of a literature. And so once you've come up with a project topic and your supervisor have accepted those topic, you then have to do a critical review of the topic that you have chosen. And I did explain to you that there's nothing new under the sun, that anything that you decide to write about, there may be some writings similar to that already in the public domain. You understand? And so what you do is that you evaluate those writings to suit yourself, you own them. You do what is called a critical review of the previously published writings out there in the public domain, and then you review them. Okay. And so I gave example that if you come from a family and no one person has sort of attained the position of a master's or a PhD scholar, there may be writings that may be already published in a public domain about this particular family. But then you can digest and diagnose and review those previous writings, and then you adopt a different angle of argument, okay, in your review. That's the essence of literature review. You understand me? So, so it's academic writing that demonstrates your knowledge and understanding in a particular topic. The review also includes a critical evaluation of the material. That is why it's called a review rather than a literature report. It's a process of reviewing the literature as well as a form of writing. All right. This is the essence of literature review.
yes. That's what I said earlier as well. Maybe when you were muted, I didn't hear. You didn't hear me well.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
you did well.
Okay.
I commended for your
All right.
explanations
I
and all.
didn't hear that you commended me.
I did. I did. I did.
Thank you, sir.
I did. Yeah, I did. And so we then have to look into the sample data. When we say sample data in your research work, you need to have a system of collection of your data. Okay, all right, and your data collection it's a subset of your scope of writing. I explained to you guys the other time of the lecture is that once you have a research topic, you try not to have a broad topic because then you have a huge scope of writing to do, a huge scope of data sampling to do. Okay, and so you narrow your writing into something that your sampling size becomes minimal and not huge. Okay, so your sample data should not be huge, and that derives from or emanates from your very topic that you have chosen. And so I gave an example that if you want to do, let's say, the causes of um 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 social media, the effect of social media on adolescents, okay, is in the UK is quite huge. But then you can say a case study of adolescents between 5 and 10 years or between 11 years and 15 years. You understand me? And so even though you have a broader topic to deal with, but you've narrowed it to a part that is a case study of certain group of age or an age bracket that you have to look into. Okay, so in data analysis, the sampling is a practice of analyzing the subset of your data in order to uncover the meaningful information in a larger data set. Do you understand? Okay, so what will be the roadmap for literature review? You need to develop a search terms. Okay, what kind of search terms? And then you have to search your terms, Boolean operators and filters, and then come out literature processes. Then you need to identify your initial primary resources on the topic. What are your primary sources? What kind of sources are we relying on? Is it Wikipedia, or is it what do you call what kind of books are you willing to critique your review? And then you create a systematic focus table of summarized information. And then you summarize in the paragraph from important information from each sources that includes citations. Okay, citations, you normally capture them in your references as well. Then you read abstracts. You see, when we say abstracts are normally the summary part of the initial writing of a project. You can have an abstract that tells an overview of the introduction of your project work. Okay, so you can read abstracts and possible additional sections of article to narrow your sources if needed. And then 7, prepare for the first draft by identifying an organization approach and writing strategically. Okay. And then write the first draft and then prove and publish repeatedly. So these are things that we need or we ought to look into. Okay. We need and we ought to look into. So let's proceed further. Let's proceed further. So these are the roadmap for literature review. Okay, you have your research terms. You have to search using the Boolean operators and filters, literature processes. Then you identify your initial primary sources on the topic. Okay, and these things you do them with a consultation of your supervisor. Very, very important. Okay. So in reviewing a literature review activity or itself, a contribution can be made to knowledge on a particular subject through the literature review. Okay. Literature reviews undertaken as part of the thesis invariably focuses on the topic that relates to main research questions that have been raised and highlight the influential consumption of empirical studies that have been conducted in the field. A literature review demonstrates knowledge about the extant literature of the field, but in more the simply describing of author's perspective. It is expected to include critical evaluation of the studies. Very, very important. A good review, furthermore, gives a novel synthesis of existing work, which may lead to new way of looking at a subject or identifying gaps in the literature. I did explain to you that what you seek to do entirely in your research work, most especially in your literature review, is to, critique, come out with various loopholes within an existing public writing, anything that have been written on the public. You're trying to look at the loopholes. That's it's your argument in your research work. So if there is a project work that has been done against social media and negative effects on adolescents, you would then could look at those writings, find out the loopholes, your that and then you can argue your way out. And that may be that in this stuff become your adopted literature review or your project work. Okay. All right. Do you have any question at all?
No, I
Okay,
think I understand. It's okay.
that's fine. So let's crack on. Today we are only 4. Today we are only 4. And then we need to do also literature review processes, identifying gaps in prior studies with a view to locating one's investigation in a broader context. Okay, now so Silverman identifies the context of a literature review as: what do you already know about the topic? What do you have to say critically about what is already known? Okay. Has anyone ever done something exactly the same as what you propose? Don't forget, your proposal should be something new, different from what you were existing on. It cannot be the same as the existing literature that you seek to do justice to it. Okay. It cannot be the same. And then you need to have, has anyone else done anything that relates to what you seek to do? It should be no. Where does your work fit in with what has gone before? Why is your research work doing in light of what? So in light of what you have already been done, and you have 2020. So your research work should solve problems. I mentioned that. Your research work should be unique in a way that it must be handy in solving an existing problem. That's the essence of a research work. Okay. All right. That's the essence of a research work. It must solve problems. It must solve problems. Okay. Now, it's therefore imperative that there's a need of a reviewer to give a rigorous yet pragmatic account of what is reviewed. By engaging with and critiquing previous studies, the researcher needs to strike a balance that simultaneously displays critically true, inquisitive, and considered argument with regards to the assumptions, theories, and methods used, while on the same time acknowledging the validity of and the insight of the strength made by the study. And so I explained to you that while you are trying to rely on a particular previous project work or research work, you ought to give some respect to what has been done, and you need to reference to what you are as relying on. However, you need to look at certain critiques. You need to criticize or find out the loopholes within those writings, and that becomes your line of argument in your research work, your new proposal that you seek to do. Okay. And so you need to find out the strength within those writings, and then look at the weaknesses or the loopholes where you can advance your argument. The other time we spoke about what we call SWOT analysis. Okay, you look at the strengths, the weaknesses of the research work, the opportunities and the threats. Okay, we also spoke about PESTEL, where you look into all the SMART technique in solving issues. We say SMART is what? It's something you need to look how specific the issue is when you decide to tackle an issue, or you have to look at how measurable. Can it be measurable? Can it be measured? Because those things, are they tangible? Okay. And then we have to look, you need to be accountable. Okay. It needs to be realistic. Something that is realistic. It cannot be vague. It needs to be, your project work or research work should be realistic. It should be tangible. Okay, then you can look into time factor. It ought to be time bound. I explained to you that time bound because when you have to do a project work, you don't have the whole year to do that. Your supervisor gives you a time frame for which you need to submit your proposal, your reviews, your methodology, and then your final submissions to be guided by your supervisor. Okay. So literature reviews ought to supersede a descriptive rerun. Okay. The third feature is that it attracts little attention, but its reviews goes throughout the duration of a research project rather than a conventional understanding of it. All right. So there should be empirical evidences, empirical findings backed with data, okay? Backed with data, collective data that sought to prove what you seek to achieve in your writing. Okay? Are we together? Are we together?
Yes, please.
Any questions at all? This
Not really, for my side.
okay, that's fine. Let's crack on. Let's crack on. And so, Emnula, with the explanation that I've given, how then do you critique a project work that somebody has done? How do you go about it? Emnula, Emnula, can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Can I proceed, please?
Hello, sir. What you say, please?
I say, how then do you critique? Hello. How do you critique?
How do we do what, sir?
How do you critique? If how do you go about in criticizing a project work that somebody has done and you want to review it? How do you go about it?
I think by sampling like questionnaires and all that.
Before the questionnaire, in your writing, you've seen a piece of writing and you feel that there are some loopholes in those writing. Okay,
Okay.
what will be your line of argument if you've seen some loopholes? Um, say, I I have given you a piece of work and the piece of work has a title that um COS or healthcare professionals do not contribute to the upkeep of NHS hospital, or healthcare professionals do not have the requisite training in their day-to-day activities, and you want to argue your way that that is not true. How do you go about it? Mhm. All right, let's crack on. Since I'm not having any answer, let's crack on. Okay, so the review remains an ongoing project, which requires refinements and modifications as the study progresses. This is due in part for empirical findings that might lead to a research to a new direction and therefore requires adjustment to initial arguments, and also becomes new findings emerge all the time. The research needs to reflect the and be up to date possible. Okay. Data sampling, you just mentioned that. Create a sample of data from the findings. Create a sample of data from the findings. Data sampling is a statistical analysis technique used to select, manipulate, and analyze a representative subset of a data point to identify patterns and trends in a larger data set being examined. It enables data scientists, predictive modelers, and other data analysis to work with a small, manageable amount of data about a statistical population to build and run analytical models more quickly while still producing accurate findings. Okay, so data sampling static. So in data sampling, how we have forms of data sampling. Okay, is are we going through? How do you go data sampling? You need to let us know. Is it through questionnaire? Is it through questionnaire? In what way are you going to do those data sampling? Very, very important. Okay. So there are different ways of data sampling. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. And so let's proceed on. And so what may be the advantages and challenges of data sampling? Sampling can be particularly useful with data that are too large. I think most of the things I'm saying I've already explained to you, but I just want to read. I'll say so. I says the data can too large to if analyze. You know, Damila, you remember I said that you don't have to make it very large. You remember? Damila, you remember
You said we shouldn't make it large.
you remember I said that, did I? Did you remember?
Yes, you said it.
Exactly. So that's exactly what is being said. It says they are too large to, when it's too large, you efficiently analyze in full. For example, a big data analysis applications or surveys. Identifying, analyzing a representative sample is more efficient, more cost effective than surveying the entire of the data. You understand me? Or the population. Okay?
Yeah.
Yes. And this is how the best approach in dealing with that. Yeah. So you make sure that you look at a bit more sample data is not huge, yeah. An important consideration though is the size of the required data sample and the possibility of introducing a sample error. In some cases, a small sample can reveal the most important information about a data set. In others, using a larger sample can increase the likelihood of accurately representing the data as a whole, even though the increased size of the sample may impede the case of manipulation and interpretation. Okay, so the writer is making some two distinct argument that in many other cases, a sample, a sampling or a sample that is not huge, a small sample gives the most important, yeah. Please 1 minute. Can you join the class, please? Can you join the class, please? Rather than using a bigger, but in other trend, in other vein also, it talks about that a sample that increases the lack of accurately input the data as a whole, even though the increased size of the sample may impede. So when the size is huge, it impede, interpretation. It makes interpretation quite very difficult. It makes your methodology, presenting your data findings, extra pure, interpretability very difficult to do. And that's the sense of the writer, what he seeks to explain. Okay. Types of data sampling, which I think most of you know already, there are different types of data sampling. There may be different methods of drawing samples from data. The other one depends on the data set and situation. Sampling can be based on probability, an approach that uses random numbers that correspond to points in data set to ensure there is no correlation between points chosen for the sample. Those further variation possibility sampling include simple random sampling, cluster sampling, multi-stage sampling, systematic sampling, or strategic sampling. Okay, so these are some of the random ways of doing sampling. Okay, but then sampling can also be based on non-probability. an approach in which a data sample is determined and extracted based on judgment of the analyst. Okay. As inclusion is determined by the analyst, it can be more difficult to extrapolate. That's the word. Extrapolate whether the sample accurately represents the larger population than when probability sample is used. So in sampling, we tend to look into the best fit or the best practice as to which sample may be first. Is it a sample that you want to look at the entire population, or a sample that you want to look at just a probability of the population? Okay, what we call the random sampling. All right. Then convenience sampling, when data is collected from an easily accessible and available group. You can look at a certain group and then you could collect your data based on the group, okay? Or consecutive sampling, where data is collected from a subject that meets the criteria until the predetermined sample is met, okay? You could also do what we call judgment sampling. Judgment sampling, where the researcher selects the data to sample based on predefined criteria. Okay, a predefined criteria is that you've been given a criteria to operate, an ambit for which you have to, or parameters for which you have to operate. You cannot go overboard the parameter. Okay, then that's what we call judgment sampling. And so if the parameter says that remain within these confinements, remain within this data from probably this locality, from a part of Manchester, a particular postcode, your finding should be subject to this particular postcode, then it's called judgment findings, okay? Or the quota sampling. The researcher ensures equal representation within the sample for all subgroups in the data set or population. Once generated, a sample can be used for predictive analysis. Very key. For example, a retail business might use data sampling to uncover patterns about customer behavior and predictive modeling to create more effective sales strategies. Of course, once sampling is done, whether random or whether judgment sampling, it then gives, create that imputes the environment and the understanding to be able to understand your customer feedbacks. The customer feedbacks is then forms a random sampling. Those who feedback those answers to your questionnaires can tell you whether you have an effective, robust customer service in place or whether your customer service is on a decline. And this helps you to do what we call your annual appraisals. And also it helps to see what you can do as a company in your in-house training, how to put your staffs on training. Is it customer service that needs more to be looked at? Or is it IT skills that needs to be looked at within the rank and file in your organization? And that's what sampling does. All right. And so data analysis is the process of collecting, modeling, and analyzing data to extract insights that support decision making. There are several methods and techniques to perform data sampling. There are. Okay. There are. There are several methods. All these various methods are largely based on two core areas: quantitative and qualitative research. I did explain to you the other time. Okay. Quantitative, where you're looking at the quantity. Okay. Where are you? Or qualitative. To explain the difference between qualitative, there's video for it. So there is a video for that. Informed decision making. From a management perspective, you can benefit from analyzing your data as it helps you to make decisions based on facts and not simple intuitions. For instance, you can then understand where to invest your capital, detect growth and opportunities, predict your incomes, or tackle uncommon situations before they become problems. What we call troubleshooting. Okay, you troubleshoot them before they become problems. You troubleshoot them before they become problem. Okay. Okay. So reduce cost. Another great benefit is to reduce costs. With the help of advanced technologies such as and business can spot improvement opportunity trends and patterns in their data and plan their strategies accordingly. All right, their strategies accordingly. So you said for a management perspective, you can benefit from analyzing your data as it helps you to make decisions based on facts and not simply. I have explained that organizations look at they normally do sampling and data and or informed data analysis. And so based on the parameter that has been set, a company could look into certain research to see how the company is striving. Are they making profits or loss? And what are the causes or the causative factors that is creating the company or the organization not to be able to make profit? Are they human factors? Are they IT errors? Are they lack of training? Is it late coming to work? And so these are all your students. If you're a tutor and your students are not performing well, what are the issues? Are they not students? Are they not understanding the teachings that you're giving to them? Okay. Are they being lazy? Are they not studying? Are there not practical trainings given to the student to understand? Are there homeworks? Is there any extra classes that can be done to sort of, mitigate the pressures on them? So these are all things. Are the parents the factors? Are the parents not supporting the children at home? Is there an overload? So these are all things that is backed by data, and then you seek to do justice to it. Okay. All right. Ryo, you've joined us. Rachel,
Yes, I'm sorry, I've been busy. Yes, I'm in now. Good
good,
afternoon.
good. Are we together then?
Yes, we are.
Good. And so let's look at the target customers better. You see, customers are arguably the most crucial elements in any business, 100%. By using statistics to get to a 360 vision of all aspects related to your customers, you can then understand what channels they use to communicate with you, their demographics, interests, habits, purchasing behaviors, and more. In the long run, it will drive success to your marketing strategies, allow you to identify new potential customers, and avoid wasting resources on targeting the wrong people. I mentioned the other time there is a technique that we used in identifying or waste. Do you remember what I said the other time, Rachel? I said
Yes,
there's something. What's the name of it? What's the name? Lean operations. Do you remember that? Lean operations. Lean. Lean. Lean
and
operations. Okay, or the lean technique. By the lean technique, you are able to identify the various activities that slows you as an organizations or that causes stagnant, that befalls the company or the organization. It could be a family or maybe the pitfalls. Okay, the pitfalls that slows the organization, that slows the family. Are they habits, you know, habits that is causing the family not to grow or the organization not to grow? Or you have a farm and you've grown your crops and your crops are not growing, or the seed that you sow are not growing. What are the causative? And so lean techniques seeks to identify those wastes. It could be errors, it could be time wasting, okay, it could be continuous delay. So these are, when you use lean operations or lean technique, you are able to find, because in lean operations, we are trying to minimize waste. And in Six Sigma is also a technique. We're trying to identify defects and errors. You minimize defects and errors. So lean operation looks at how to minimize waste, while Six Sigma Okay, Six Sigma in project work is a tool that you use to eliminate errors or defects. And so the other time I explained to you that there's something called quality control. Okay, in quality control, you try to control the supply chain from the manufacturing stage to the final consumer stage. You control that so that you don't have much defects within the supply chain processes. Okay, and so if you are manufacturing blocks, you have the place where you have your mixture, okay, of all the ingredients and all that, don't you? But then from the point of the finished product, there should be what we call quality control. You need to control them. Are we together? Are we together? And so if you're able to control or minimize your waste, then you are able to satisfy your customers as well. Okay? You're able to satisfy and your okay, and your what? And your customer satisfaction, even your suppliers or your main customers. If you're a company and you have a, a particular buyer who buys from you and you supply products to them or you build houses for them and you minimize your errors and your defects and everything, that your supplier or your buyer becomes happy, don't they? They become happy, don't they? Okay. And so what is data
Yes.
analysis processes? Yeah, amazing. Okay. So there are key 5 stages of data analysis process. You first have to identify the problem. Okay. Then you collect and then you clean, you analyze and you interpret. You identify before you get your hands dirty with data, you identify what you need in it. You have to then collect. As the name suggests, this is the stage where you start collecting the needed data. Here, you define which sources of information you use and how you use them. The collection of data come into different forms as internal or external sources, surveys, interviews, questionnaire, focus groups, or among others. Okay, data collection can be internal or external through surveys, through questionnaire, interviews, whether open questionnaire or whether closed questionnaire. Okay. All right. And then you have to clean the data. Once you have necessary data, it's time to clean it. When we say clean it, it's time to dress it, make it more modified, and leave it ready for analysis. Not all data you collect will be useful, of course, because you have a huge data that you collect. You just pick the ones that is useful for your project work. Okay, and then you analyze with the help of various techniques such as statistical analysis, regression, neutral networks, text analysis, and more. You can start analyzing and manipulating your data to extract relevant conclusion. At this stage, you find trends, correlation, variations, patterns that help you to answer the questions. Very, very important. And then you interpret through pie chart, through Venn diagrams, through bar chart, through histograms. You name them. Okay? Okay? Right. Good. Let's crack on. There are a number of different ways of presenting and communicating information. The particular format that you use independent on the type of data generated from the methods you've employed. Very, very important. Okay, so I mentioned that whether you want to, you have appropriate ways of presenting information for different types of data. For bar charts, this may be useful for comparing relative sizes. However, they tend to use larger amount of ink to display relatively small amount of information. Consider a simple line chart as alternative. And so in your project work, I mentioned, you need to try your best not to, have anything that would take your time and that will cause your data sampling, your data collected difficult to interpret. So bar charts take quite a number of ink, but then you can consider using the line chart as an alternative. Okay, then pie charts, these are for benefit of indicating that the data must be added up to 100. However, it makes it difficult for viewers to distinguish between relative sizes, especially if two slices have a difference of less than 10%. So it tells you also the shortcomings or the demise for the shortcomings for pie chart as well. Other examples of present data in a geographical form include charts and scatter plots. You know, scatter plots. Scatter plots is where you have your plots scattered all over, and then you choose the closest to each other, and then you plot them to suit your project. So qualitative data is more likely to be presented in text of form. For example, using quotations from interviews or field and diaries. Results are what you have found through the research. They are more than just raw data that you have collected. They are processed findings of work, what you have been analyzing and striving to understand. In total, the results from the picture you have uncovered through your research. Research may be descriptive, okay? It may be descriptive. In other words, the final report merely present the results. In most cases, though you want to interpret them, saying that they mean for you, draw conclusions. The conclusion might arise from comparing between your results and the findings of your studies. They will, however, almost certainly be developed with a reference to the aim and objective. We spoke about your aims and objectives, didn't we? Rachel, we spoke about aims and objects the last time, didn't we?
Yes, yes, I think yes.
We did. Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. Amazing. Good. Do we have any questions at all? Do we have any questions at all, please? Any questions, please? Okay. Let's crack on. Let's crack on. So reliability and validity. I've already explained that your research work should be very reliable and it should be authentic. Okay, reliability and validity are concepts used to evaluate the quality of a research. They indicate how well a method, a technique, or a test measures something. Reliability is about the consistency of your measure. And validity is about the accuracy of your measure. It is therefore important to consider reliability and validity when you are creating your own research design, planning your methods, and writing up results, especially in qualitative research work. Okay? Reliability. Reliability refers to how consistently a method measures something. If the same result can be consistently achieved by using the same methods under the same circumstances, the measurement is considered reliable. For example, you measure the temperature of a liquid sample several times under identical conditions. The thermometer displays the same temperature every time, so the results are reliable, aren't they? When a doctor uses a symptom questionnaire to diagnose a patient with a long-term medical condition, several different doctors use the same questionnaire with the same patient but give different diagnoses. This indicates that the questionnaire is as low reliability as measure of condition. This is what we call about reliability and non-reliability. Okay, so anything that upon your research or your diagnostics or upon your you know, your questionnaire or whatever you seek to do, and the confirmation repeats itself as the same, that is reliable because the answer you're getting is reliable. But where the other way around, different people take the same sample size, the same data collected, and when they interpret, you get different figures, that it is not reliable. Okay. But is it valuable? Is it validated? It then is validation, then is accuracy and method measure what is intended to measure. If a research has high validity, it means it produces results that correspond to raw properties, characteristics, and variations in the physical or social world. A high reliability is one indicator that measure is valid. If a method is not reliable, it therefore cannot be valid. Okay. A method that is not reliable, it cannot be valid. Okay, anything that is not reliable, it cannot be validated. So let's give an example to that as well. Per the writing, it says, if a thermometer shows different temperatures each time, even though you have carefully controlled conditioning to ensure the sample temperature stays the same, the thermometer is probably malfunctioning. That's true, and therefore its measurements are not valid. Because the thermometer is malfunctioning, its result cannot be valid. If a symptom questionnaire results in a reliable diagnosis when answered at different times and with different doctors, it indicates that it has high validity and has a measurement of the medical condition. It indicates that it has high validity as a measurement of the medical condition. If a symptom questionnaire results in a reliable diagnosis when answered at different times with different doctors, it has high validity. All right. What are the types of validity? Validity of a measurement can be estimated based on three types of evidence. Each can be evaluated through expert judgment or statistical methods or statistical method or statistical methods. Okay, it could be construct, or it could be content, or it could be criterion. Okay, all right, where reliability can be a test, retest, and and then internal consistency. Okay, reliability can be estimated by comparing different versions of same measurements. Validity is harder to assess, but it can be estimated by comparing the result to other relevant data or theory. The methods of estimating reliability and validity are usually split up in different types. Okay, so reliability and validity in thesis. And this is very crucial. How reliable is your thesis proposal and how validable it is to your supervisor? So section and discuss. Literature review. What are other researchers done to devise and improve methods that are reliable and validated? What have other researchers done to devise and improve? Methodology. How did you plan your research to ensure reliability and validity of the measures used? This includes the chosen sample size and set, sample preparation, external condition, and measurable techniques. Results. If you calculate reliability and validity, state these values alongside your main results. Okay. Discussion. This is the most this is the moment to talk about how reliable and valid your results actually were. Were they consistent? Did they reflect true values? If not, why not? And then conclusion. If reliability is a big problem of your findings, it might be helpful to mention this there. You have to state them. What were your limitations? You know, in your project or research, you have to state your limitations. So what were your limitations? You need to state them there. Okay. You need to state them there. Your limitations, you have to state them. All right. Good. And then let's crack on to, you have to read the article, your article on model 3D1. Why do a literature review in health and social care? Why do a literature review in health and social care? This you need to read about, okay? In your model. All right. Let me put it here. The chat room. Yeah, put it here. Okay. Good. Are we together? We just bring our lectures to an end. And these are references. So these are your references, okay? You can get all this on your student model. All right. So you have to do further readings. The values, importance, oversight of research. You need to read about them. Very, very important. All right, Rachel. Okay. You need to read about them. The
Sorry,
evidence.
yes, I'm hearing. It's just that I'm driving. I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine, Richard. We're just
Yeah.
about to end. We're bringing our lectures for today to an end.
All right.
Right.
I'll need
Right.
you guys to do further readings for me, okay?
Okay.
And those readings I have
Okay.
send them on the chat group.
Right.
Access your student model, and then you find all those reference and books you need to read, okay? So
Right.
today we've had an extensive discussions about what exactly is literature review, okay? What are the methods of collecting data, the sampling data, their methodology as well, how to present those, how to interpret those findings into either your bar chart or your pie chart and all that.
Okay.
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 Anybody has any questions at all, please?
Hey, we don't have questions.
No questions. Have you submitted your assignments? The other ones?
Yes, I did submit on Unit 4.
You done Unit 4 submission. Okay. That's fine. That's good to know. So what have you guys learned today, please?
I've learned about the literature review.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think the more the explanation, the more I got it right now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. 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 So basically, literature review, all you seek to do, all you're doing, Damanula, is that you're picking up somebody's writing, okay?
Yeah.
Somebody has done a writing and then you pick those writing and then you try to argue and say, this person did a wonderful job in this writing. However, I feel that there were some loopholes, isn't it? There were some areas of this writing that you can then argue your way out with that and then present a
Yeah.
new finding.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're doing in literature review. Okay. And so you're respecting the person's work, you acknowledging that they did well, but you say, however, I think that the person forgot to talk about the aspect of social media, isn't it? So social
Yes.
media is good, or probably it's a canker for your younger generation and all that. But probably also that you can advance and say, okay, there's an aspect of this that I feel that the person or the writer or the author didn't
I've
mention.
not done. Yeah.
Exactly. And for this reason, you want to present this proposal, and then based on the proposal, you want to have a sample size that is not huge. You have to state your sample size. Which people are you going to talk to? How many children are you going to talk to? I'm going to talk to 20 people randomly. Out of the 20 people, 10 of them are going to be children around 9 to 10 years, or children around 15 years to 31 years. You understand? So those
Yes.
are the things that you do, and that will inform you into how whether you have to do a bar chart or a pie chart and all those. And then you need to have conclusions. How to conclude you have to what we call abstract. Abstract is normally it's like your summary introduction. Normally that is the first thing you talk about before so abstract tells the reader what they intend to expect in the writing. But your conclusion then is a different thing. That's the beneath your final part. You conclude and saying that, listen, your project work seek to do this, seek to do that, seek to do that, and that's your conclusion. Okay. Now, why should it be realistic? And why should it be validated? It should be realistic. It should be something that you're doing to solve a problem. And we spoke about the SMART analysis, didn't we?
Yeah.
SMART.
The smart analysis. Yes.
Exactly. One of the core functions of the SMART analysis is about realistic, isn't it?
Yes.
So you can talk about the SMART analysis as a degree holder, and the SMART analysis, what we seek to do is that the findings should be realistic, it should be validated, it should be time-bound, and it should be specific. Why specific? Because you don't want to tackle the entire population, would you? Of UK, but you want to be specific in certain area of medicine or certain area of architecture or certain area in healthcare. Healthcare is huge, isn't it?
Yes.
Healthcare is huge because you have the downstream part of healthcare and you have the upstream part of healthcare. But you want to look at a specific area of healthcare in which you want to base your research and your findings on. That's the
Yeah.
essence of this. All right?
Yes.
Guys, thank you so much for today's lecture. I think you might be continuing tomorrow then. All right.
Yeah. Sorry for not joining on time, Mr. Daniel.
That's
It
fine.
wasn't intention at all. It really escaped my mind.
Don't worry at all.
Sorry on my side too. So
Quite a
sorry
number of
about
people have not joined, but I think it's still fun. We still had a lovely lecture. Okay. I've seen we have 5 people today. Latoya Joshua didn't speak, but Rachel, yes, you are 5. Temitoya, I don't know who the person is, not responding, but yes. So that's the essence of project work and research work. And if we are able to master a mastery of this, will really help you in the future. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you try your hands. You choose a topic. You do a literature review. You critique. You argue your way, and then from there you can look at your sample size, and then there you can try to do your methodology, your findings. You interpret them. Once you're able to do that, then you can do. Hey, is it Rachel? Oh, Rachel. Oh, good, 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 good.
sorry. Am I disturbing? Maybe it's the
Yeah,
children in.
you are not
Sorry.
disturbing that. No, you're not. You're not disturbing. You're not. Okay. And then once you've done that, then you could do what we call your conclusions and recommendations, so to speak. And that project work can even be, you can sell it, it could help. It may help because organizations pay people to do research for them, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Exactly. And so if staffs are resigning from a particular company, or the carers are all resigning from a particular care home,
Yeah, they want to know the
you want to
why.
know why. Thank you.
Why?
Why are
Yeah.
they all resigning?
Why this quarrel? Most especially when it occurs often,
When it repeats itself, amazing.
itself.
So
Amazing. When it repeats itself,
Yeah.
then it's becoming realistic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's becoming realistic, and therefore you may be asked to do a research to see whether or not the causative factors causing the resignation. Is it something that is happening internally, or is it something that is happening externally?
Yeah.
Exactly. And so companies pay people huge sum of money or funding to even do research. Okay. And then when you have done the research, then you can do your findings, you present your findings and recommend, don't you? So having found the solutions, you then recommend that having done my research where I recommend that your new staffs should be trained, blah, blah, and so. They should be given a huge salary. Salary intake is not that much. Per annum is too low. You increase your salary for the staffs, blah, blah. These are the things we're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody have just joined. Number 6. And who is that? Victor. Victor just joins. Victor, you've just joined. We're just about to wrap up. Okay. So guys, see you tomorrow.
thank you very much.
And leave your comments, please. Very important. Your
Alright.
feedbacks on the chat room as you normally do. Victor, could you your full name, please? So Demlula and my friend
Thank
Rachel,
you.
leave your
Thank
comments
you.
on the comment section, your feedback on the
Right.
comment section. And then we meet tomorrow, don't we? Aren't you meeting tomorrow?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Yes,
Good.
2:30.
2:30, that's fine. That's fine.
Right.
Leave your comments then. Thank you. Thank you.
Alright.
The chat box. Thank you.
Leave your comments, please.
Okay.
Right.
I really appreciate him because the choice was let me to 5 minutes. Yeah, this is the explanation. Is it mute? It's because I'm driving, so I want to go to rest. They try for it.
Yeah, they're writing for you, Eric. That's good.
Oh, sorry, I don't know you're hearing me. My daughter is writing for me. Sorry. Okay, mute me.
No excuse. If people will not escape anything.